Emily married Ethan, so you two have nothing to do with it, right? Emily, my son's fiancée, said with a smile, looking at Mike and me. You two are strangers to me, so I won't be living with you or taking care of you. I was shocked by her blunt words. As she spoke, Emily's parents stood by, nodding as if to agree completely. Emily is our precious daughter, and we've raised her with care. We can't allow her to take care of someone else's family, Emily's mother said in a sharp-tongued tone. Though I was taken aback, I answered politely, I understand. Mike and I hadn't thought for a second that we need Emily to take care of us. Yet I thought there was no need for her to say it that way. Moreover, who repeats strangers during a family introduction? I felt a little uneasy, but what Emily's true character revealed at that moment was just the beginning. My name is Michelle, and I'm 71 years old this year. My family includes my husband Mike, who is a year older at 72, and my son Ethan, who turns 42 this year. Ethan, perhaps because he's an only child, has a gentle and relaxed personality. After graduating from science graduate school, he works in research at a major manufacturer. After getting a job, he started living alone comfortably in a condominium near his company. Judging by the rather upscale condominium, it seems he's earning a decent salary. I'm not worried about that, but as a parent, I also hope he finds someone nice to settle down with. Of course, it's Ethan's choice, and I can't force him. That's when it happened. Ethan casually came home and reported, a little shyly, Actually, I'm dating someone right now. I'm thinking of getting married. I want to introduce her soon. Mike and I were surprised, as he had never shown any interest in women before. Sure enough, I must admit that I felt relieved. Well, isn't that wonderful? I said. These days, the number of single people is increasing, but if you found a good person, nothing could be better. So what's this person like? Mike and I eagerly asked Ethan. We'll be having a family introduction with her parents soon, so I'll introduce you to her then. Ethan said with a smile. Our conversation was livelier than ever with Ethan. That sounds exciting, I said nonchalantly, letting my imagination wander about who this person might be, without knowing the kind of person Ethan's partner would turn out to be. Eventually, the day of the meet and greet arrived. The location was chosen by the other parents, and it was to be an upscale fine dining restaurant. We, who weren't accustomed to such formal places, were very nervous on that day. Finally, Ethan's girlfriend and her parents arrived. Her name was Emily, 32 years old, 10 years younger than Ethan. With her charming demeanor, shiny hair, and what looked like expensive clothing, she made an impression. I'm Emily Thompson. Nice to meet you, Emily greeted crisply. Her parents, too, were dressed in high-end clothing, which made me think she must come from a well-to-do family. As it turned out, her parents run a company, and Emily works there as well. Ethan and Emily met through a mutual acquaintance, it seemed. Soon the food was served, and we talked about the wedding and other things as the family introduction went smoothly. I was thinking to myself how wonderful it was that Ethan had found a good person when something happened. Oh, but these formal meetups are so stuffy, don't you think? I told them I didn't think it was necessary. Emily suddenly said, her voice shifting. I tilted my head, confused for a moment. I just married Ethan, so you two are not related to me, Emily continued, smiling at Mike and me. You two are strangers to me, so I won't be living with you or taking care of you. I was shocked by Emily's sudden words. Emily's parents seemed to agree, nodding their heads. Emily is our precious daughter, and we can't have her taking care of someone else's family, Emily's mother declared firmly. Feeling shaken, but maintaining composure, I responded carefully. I understand. Just to be clear, We haven't discussed living together or anything like that. We don't plan on it. And we have savings for our care. So we're considering using a facility in the future. I don't think Ethan or Emily will be burdened with anything." "Oh, that's good to hear. I could never change someone else's diapers or anything like that," Emily said, her face beaming. Mike and I were at a loss for words, exchanging glances. Certainly the issue of living together and caregiving can be burdensome for young people. We had already discussed that we didn't intend to rely on Ethan in the future and planned to enter a caregiving facility. Even though Emily and her parents didn't know this, I was internally frustrated by her intentionally tactless way of speaking. And after the family introduction was over on our way home, Ethan came running up to us panicked. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry about what Emily said earlier. I think she was just nervous. Maybe she said too much because of that." Ethan tried to cover for her, but all I could say was, "Well, it's fine. But she's a very frank child, isn't she?" We had our thoughts, but Mike and I understood that people nowadays are more likely to express their opinions clearly. However, Emily's words and actions seemed to escalate from there. It appears that Ethan and Emily decided to move forward with the preparations for the wedding. I talked to Ethan on the phone briefly, and he told me that the venue was in Emily's hometown, and the dates were all set according to Emily's convenience. None of Ethan's wishes seemed to have been fulfilled. Mike, having a bit of trouble with his legs, had suggested, "Wouldn't it be better to have an accessible venue?" But it seems he was overridden by the desire for a venue with beautiful decor. "Are you okay with that?" I couldn't help but ask, concerned. "It can't be helped. The wedding is mainly about the woman. Sorry to Daddy, though." While that was indeed true, I became a little worried as Ethan's wishes were being entirely ignored. "I need to prepare for the ceremony now. I'm busy, so I'm going to hang up." As Ethan was about to end the call, I asked hurriedly, "You're busy, but Emily is helping, right?"
Emily is busy attending bridal beauty treatments, so I'm in charge of the details."
"I see." I had thought not to interfere in their affairs, but something seemed off. Since they said they'd come to our house on their next day off to discuss the wedding, I thought about taking the opportunity to talk to Emily a little. I don't intend to be nagging or intrusive, but since Emily is marrying my son, I thought that if I could get to know her better, I might see her good side. And so the weekend arrived. As planned, the two of them came over to our house. After chatting for a while, Ethan and Mike went out to the porch to smoke, leaving the room. Only Emily and I were left in the living room. I thought this was a good opportunity, so I spoke to Emily with a smile. "Emily, Ethan really loves hamburgers. I think he'd be delighted if you made them for him once in a while, or maybe you've already done that." When I said that, Emily opened her mouth seemingly uninterested. Is that so? I hate cooking, so I won't make it, you know. It's messy, and my parents told me I don't have to do such a thing. I prefer to eat at nice restaurants, and I don't like hamburgers, so I'd rather have pasta every day." I was stunned by her response for a moment. What was this woman talking about? "Well, Emily, you're working too, so cooking every day must be hard, so it's good to eat out once in a while." I finally managed to say that, but Emily continued. "That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to cook at all. I don't want to do anything so bothersome. Ha. And don't worry. I plan to hire a housekeeper for all the other chores. I mean, I'm going to quit my job once we're married." What? I was starting to lose comprehension. I felt a headache coming on. "If you're quitting your job and not doing household chores, how will you pay that housekeeper?" Emily said smugly. "Of course, Ethan will be paying for that. I'll be busy hanging out with the friends. But taking piano lessons is part of my hobbies. I don't have time for work or housework. That's why Ethan needs to earn more. To be honest, The salary is a little less than I thought. I feel like he's not trying hard enough. I want to tell him to work harder. I was at a loss for words and looked down silent. As I was doing so, Ethan and Mike returned, and the conversation was interrupted. After seeing Ethan and Emily off at the front door, I stood there filled with frustration and confusion. I knew Emily was an honest person, but would she really say all that? Or was Emily just using Ethan? Doubts rapidly spread in my mind. Mike, noticing my expression, asked me what had happened. I told him everything. Mike seemed to have the same thoughts.
I thought it was odd when we met at that upscale fine dining restaurant, but saying all that, is Ethan okay?
I talked to Ethan, but it seems like Emily has managed to convince him. I don't think anything we say will help.
Yeah, I guess so.
So we have to have Emily tell us the truth herself.
What?
I let a smile cross my face. A few days later, I was asked to accompany Emily to her dress fitting. Ethan had said that he couldn't go because of work, so I was called at the last minute. When I appeared, Emily predictably looked displeased. Ugh, why are you coming? Where's Ethan? Ethan got called into work. I answered, and Emily turned away, saying, That's so boring. I was already dumbfounded by Emily's childish attitude. Regaining my composure, I calmly watched Emily as she changed into various dresses. Emily was with Emily's mother, and they were exchanging opinions back and forth. Mom, what do you think of this dress design? I think the previous one was better. You're right. The shoulder line isn't quite right. They seemed to have no regard for me, continuing their conversation just between the two of them. Even when I tried to engage them in conversation, they answered curtly. Emily's attitude was getting worse and worse, I thought to myself. Moreover, it seemed that Emily had been raised incredibly overprotected. Listening to their conversation, Emily was constantly asking her mother, Mom, I can't do that. Can you do it for me? Each time, Emily's mother would simply comply, saying, Sure, sure. Considering this behavior, it made sense why she didn't cook. I can't quite let go of the previous dress. Take a picture, will you? Emily spoke to her mother, but I held up my mobile phone with a smile. I'll take the picture for you. Really, Auntie? Do you even know how to use a mobile phone? Make sure to send it to my mobile phone once you're done. Emily was consistently sharp-tongued. I took a few pictures and then sent them to Emily. At that moment, a staff member in charge of the dresses approached me, so I set my mobile phone on the table. Are you the mother-in-law? This dress is now available at a more affordable price. The staff member quickly started pitching to me. I responded vaguely and brushed it off, but Emily and Emily's mother, thinking I was focused on the conversation with the staff, started talking freely. What they were saying was astonishing. Thank goodness we found a good cash cow, huh? Really, I'm glad he seems like a nice person. Yeah, he's a plain and unimpressive guy, but he has a decent income. His income and education are his only redeeming qualities. With that unfashionable appearance, if he couldn't marry me, he'd be single for life. His only worth is to spoil me after all. Emily, you shouldn't speak so bluntly, even if he's a stranger. I say it because he is a stranger. That old lady was showing off too, saying she doesn't need care because she has money. She must be hoarding quite a bit. Anyway, whether there's money or not, I would never do something like caregiving. Changing a stranger's diapers? Absolutely impossible. As Emily laughed saying that, Emily's mother also started laughing. Being spoken about so openly, I felt more astonished than angry. Emily indeed showed her terrible true nature. I ended the conversation with the staff and turned back to Emily and her mother. I have plans for today, so I'll be heading home. Is that so? Thanks anyway. Emily responded indifferently, not even looking at me. Leaving the chattering duo behind, I walked out of the dress shop. If they consider me a stranger, I won't hold back either. My plan was already in motion. That night, Ethan and I were visiting Emily's house. It was my first time at Emily's house, and I was surprised. I had heard that Emily's house was a fairly large single-family home, and indeed it was spacious, but it was completely neglected. Weeds were going wild, and the window glass was cracked. What's going on, Ethan? You said you wanted to see me all of a sudden. Emily, coming out of the house, answered nonchalantly. I need to talk to you. Ethan spoke quietly. Ugh, it's late, and this is a hassle. Let's do it tomorrow. I really need to talk to you. It's important. Ethan, who's usually gentle, was persistent and spoke in a strong tone this time. Were you after my money? What? What are you talking about? Suddenly? There's no way that's true. What's happened, Ethan? Emily started to panic. I didn't think it was true either, but then I heard this. Ethan said that and took out my mobile phone. He pressed the play button on the recording app. Then Emily and Emily's mother's voices were heard. As Emily listened, her face turned pale. Yes, I had recorded their conversation while matching today's outfits. I played it for Ethan after we got back home. I explained it to Ethan myself at first, but he didn't believe me. However, when he heard the certain proof of their conversation, he seemed shocked. I felt sorry for him, but I thought this was the only way to wake him up. The conversation played. They were bad-mouthing Ethan, calling him a money tree and worse. This is some kind of mistake. Emily stammered. Don't make excuses. Emily's shoulders trembled at Ethan's sudden anger. I was surprised, too. I had never seen the unusually mild-mannered Ethan so angry. I'm shocked that you thought of me that way. Even when you did whatever you wanted, I tried to bear it, because I wanted to do my best to meet your wishes. But you never had any affection for me. I can't marry someone like that. The engagement is off. I'll cancel the wedding. Ethan stated firmly, and Emily fell silent. Then, just when I thought she had been quieted, she turned on us, glaring. If you found out, it can't be helped. But since you're the one calling off the wedding, you'll pay the cancellation fee and the compensation for breaking the engagement, too. Ethan exclaimed. What? She was a greedy, outrageous woman. However, I calmly told her, Do you think you're in a position to say something like that? Aren't you the one at a disadvantage? I challenged, holding my mobile phone up to Emily. This audio recording is evidence. You clearly stated that you're after my son for his money. You know what will happen if this gets out, right? My words sent Emily into a panic. Wait a minute. Mother-in-law. Mother-in-law? There's no reason for you to call me that. You're just a stranger in the end, aren't you? I laughed at Emily, who was at a loss for words. As you wish. I'll treat you as a stranger forever. I held back on speaking my mind because I thought you would become Ethan's wife. But if you're a stranger, I can say whatever I want. You're a money-hungry, useless woman. Ethan deserves better than someone like you. Emily's face turned bright red, whether from anger or embarrassment, and she trembled violently. Eventually, sensing something was amiss from our exchange, Emily's parents hurried over to us. What's going on here? I responded with a smile to Emily's mother, who asked with a composed face. This marriage is all. It seems your daughter was referring to my son as a cash cow. We'll be billing you for the compensation for the broken engagement and the cancellation fee for the venue. Emily's parents turned pale at my words and began to stammer excuses. But I had said all I needed to say, and we had no more business in this house. Let's go. I urged Ethan, preparing to leave Emily's house. But before we left, I turned back to her parents and added one more thing. Oh, by the way, it seems you've been neglecting the care of your home. It's unbearable to look at. Perhaps you should focus on that instead of expensive clothing." With those final words, Emily and her parents were left speechless. Without looking back, we briskly left Emily's house behind. After that, Ethan and I quickly sought legal representation and demanded compensation from Emily's family. It was for the compensation of the broken engagement and the cancellation fee for the wedding venue. In such cases, disputes often arise, hinging on he said, she said, but thanks to the recorded evidence, the process went smoothly. We won the case, and Emily's family was burdened with debt. Later on, we heard that Emily's parents' company had already gone bankrupt. They used to be wealthy, living in a large house with a housekeeper and enjoying a carefree lifestyle. But a few years ago, with the economy taking a downturn, her father's company went under. They had been struggling financially, as could be seen from the condition of their dilapidated house. Yet Emily's family couldn't give up their flashy lifestyle. Even after going bankrupt, they kept up appearances, pretending to run a business, and never stopped wearing expensive items. Emily seemed to have hardly worked at all. After her parents' company went under, working outside the home was never an option for her. She tirelessly sought someone who could lavish her with luxuries on her parents' behalf, running around introducing herself to various people in search of a partner. She claimed to be a company president and played the part of a refined lady with her whole family. But her true nature was seen through by Ethan, her finally found partner, and the engagement was called off. After that, she approached various men, but her true identity was always discovered, and now it seems no one wants to associate with her. Ethan heard rumors from acquaintances about how the whole family was in dire straits. As for Ethan's life afterwards, after a few years, he met a wonderful person, and they married right away. She's an honest, kind, and loving woman. With her, there's nothing to worry about, he thinks. Even though a lot has happened, I'm truly glad that Ethan has found happiness. Every time I see Ethan's calm smile, both Mike and I feel a sense of joy.